Hey guys, FunshineX here, back with ComputerCraft tutorials for Minecraft 1.6. Today we're going to do some practical programming, make some actual programs that do things in this house. And yeah, the first thing will be to take this iron door, which I've somehow misplaced my lever for. I have no idea how to get in there. So we're going to have to make that door open. And then that lighting system in there. Again, I mentioned I don't want like that lever way over there, so I'd like to turn off the lights from this computer as well. I'll go ahead and mention that my redstone skills, as you know, probably are pretty bad. So I will not be teaching you how to do redstone, and I've already added the redstone underneath the covers here. So I've got a little redstone dot there, right underneath the computer, and then it's inverted. It travels along here, inverts again, right underneath the door. So all I should have to do is send a redstone signal from the bottom of this computer, and it should open my door. That's the theory. So let's see if we can get that to work. That'll be the first thing. So do I want to call this program Open Door? Well, first I actually would like to do something I told you about earlier, was this Lua program. And the Lua is basically interactive code that you can just write and test, and you don't have to put it into an actual program. So let's check what we can do with redstone. You can type out redstone as the API and then get access to all the functions, or you can just type rs. It's a shortcut for the redstone library. Alright, and then a couple of the functions we have, one of them would be the set output, and that is a function that turns signals on or off, on or off around the computer. And we want it on the bottom side, and then we want to set it true. So what have I done there? Two parameters. The first one is a string, and it's one of the sides. So you've got top, bottom, left, right, front, and back. And then you've got the second one is a Boolean parameter, which means it can be true or false. There's no quotes around this. It's just a value true, and ComputerCraft knows what that means. So we're going to say rs set output, the bottom side to true. Turn on redstone signal, basically. If we hit enter, that should go immediately into effect and run the code, and look, our door opened. And we can go down here and look, just to see that now it has turned this redstone signal on right under the computer. Cool. So to open a door, basically, we don't have a lever on this side either, so I'll probably just leave it open and then have another command to close it, and that will be very simple. Remember, hit up or down to bring up your last commands. If I set it to false, it'll turn it off and it'll close the door. So that's what we'll need to use in our function, or in our code. I'm going to do exit to get out of here. And now let's actually write our code, our program. I don't want this just to be an open door program. I want to have it a lot of, the controlling of my whole house here, and we're going to be using it through a number of series that we do. So let's call this the house control program. Okay, and the first thing, since we're controlling multiple items in the house, we want to ask the user what they want to do. So let's say print, what do you want to do? There you go. And then let's do a menu. So the first thing we'll do is go ahead and say print, and we'll say 1, and that will be open the door. We'll make this menu better later. I want us to keep it pretty simple. Okay, so we've got two items there. We can open the door or close the door. And then we're going to do an io.read. And we're going to read that into something called input. Remember, that's just a variable that we're creating. And to make this look nice, I want to do something else up here. If we've been doing lots of things on this computer screen, it might be cluttered with a bunch of other text. It might be hard for the user to see our menu. So what I'm going to do is do a terminal, and that's the library that affects this screen that we're looking at, and you can actually shortcut just down to term. So the terminal, and if you do .clear, that will mean basically clear the screen. So I like to do that at the top of all my programs, just to get rid of any junk that's been on the screen from previous programs. So we're going to clear it, then we're going to print this text, and then we're going to read in their input. And here, normally in a lot of other languages, you do a thing called a switch statement, which basically says, do one of these things based on what the input was. Lua does not have switch, so you just have to do a bunch of if statements. So I'm going to say if input is the same as 1, and I'm putting quotes around that because it's with the character one, the string one. Then do something. And here's the else if, because we might have a bunch of them. If the input is 2, then do something else. Let me space this a little bit better. And then I could do more else if, all that kind of stuff, but then I'll do an end it at the bottom. We only have 2 items right now. We can do another else. And this is if it's not, something that we allowed them to do, basically. And here we'll say print invalid entry. Okay. So we want to do if they type 1, rs.setOutput bottom true. And unfortunately there's no copy paste in this editor, so you have to type everything again, and this will be bottom false. Okay, so we've got a menu here, and then we've got, based on the input they choose, we'll do something. So let's go ahead and save it and try it. It's called house control. See that it does clear our screen. I'm going to give this 2 options. Let's do open door. It opened our door. Same thing, close door. Look at that. It cleared our screen, but we're down low. So we want to fix that. And we'll also want to make this run in a loop, because right now, as soon as I choose an option, it exits the program. So we've got the door working. Let's go ahead and improve our program to work a little bit better. So how do we get it to go back up to the top of the screen after we clear it? Well, that's pretty easy. We do term.setCursor pause. Again, this is case sensitive, so if you do it like this, it's not going to know what you're talking about. It's going to get an error. And we want to start at the top left, which is 1, 1. 1 is the top row, 1 is the top column, and then I'll go back to the top left. All right? And then we wanted to do a loop, so while true do, same thing we did in our other program. We need to make sure we have an end at the end. Okay. And then how do we want to exit our program if we ever do want to? Well, we can say print, let's say q equals quit. And now we've got to handle that if they do type a q. Else if input equals q, then what do? Well, we need to close our program. How do we do that? Okay, and we'll just type break here, basically because we're in this forever loop. So as soon as it gets a q, it'll break out and it'll end the program. Okay, so let's give that a try and see if our updates have worked. Now we're up to the top here. Let's say we want to open the door. Oh. So basically, we've got our loop outside of our clearing, so it only cleared it the first time. Open door, close door, quit. Yep, everything worked, so let's fix this one more time. We need to put this loop here up at the top. That means every time it loops, it will clear inside the cursor position. Alright, I think we're done with that part. Open the door, close the door, open the door. Quit. Cool. Sounds good. Next, what do we want to do? Well, let's add options for lights. If you come out here, I've got lights, redstone already set up here. And I'm just going to disconnect the one from the lever, so they're all going to turn off. And now let's just do it with our computer. This will be almost identical. This comes out the back, I believe. So let's go ahead and edit our program again. And let's put in 2 more options. Turn on lights. Oops. Or turn off the lights. Okay. And basically the same exact code here, but we're just going to use the back. rs.setOutput back true. Oh, come on. Really helpful to, keep your spacing nice and even, just so it's easy to read. You know, I see I indent after every time I do an else, just to make it easy. Alright, turn off the lights, turn on the lights. Is that it? Is that it? Let's try it. Oops. There we go. Turn on the lights. There they go. They're on. Nope, they're not. They're close. Looks like we had a problem upstairs. Let's go look. I think I need to turn the... Oh, yeah. You need to go right there. Perfect. Okay. Much better. So our lights are on. Our door is closed. Let's go ahead and open the door, turn off the lights. Oh no, it didn't work. What happened there? Interesting. What's keeping them on? Oh, we've got like, it's just a loop. It was looping itself. Okay, that should help. Rain? No. Go away, rain. Okay, lights are off. That's more like it. And you can see our lever here no longer does anything, so let's get rid of it. And we can now turn on the lights. Looks good. And if we type something that doesn't exist, it'll just clear it, because we told it to clear. Great. Okay, can we improve this anymore? Because we have some time. Well, this was kind of a secure area. I mean, I've got a lot of stuff here I don't want people to get into. So let's talk about passwords. Obviously, on a server, I mean, if this was locked, someone could just break the wood down, right? With an axe. But, I mean, if you built something more that had, like, arcane warded stone or something from ComputerCraft, or if you had server plugins that didn't allow people to break things in a certain area, then, you know, this would work. But in this kind of world, where it's just a vanilla world and only ComputerCraft, there's not really true security. I mean, I can have a password on this door, but someone could just break in. But it's a good exercise nonetheless to explore how to do this. So let's go ahead and quit our program and go ahead and edit this one more time. And basically, if they want to open the door, then I'm going to do something else before the set output. I'm going to print something to screen. So let's go ahead and let's talk about functions. Functions are just a set of code that you can call multiple times, and it makes it a little bit easier to read rather than have everything one big long line. So let's have a function here, and we're going to call it check password. Okay, and it's going to take no parameters at all, and it's going to return whether it's valid or not. Okay. So we start it with a function, we give it a name, we put parentheses. If we needed input parameters, we would put them here, and then we have end. So we're going to go ahead and clear the terminal again. Okay, and set the curve position to 1, 1. Then we're going to print out, enter the password. And let's store our password up here. So we can just say password is equal to 42. It could be a string, it could be whatever you want. And I go ahead and set input again equal to whatever they enter. And then I'll say if input is the same value as password, then now we can open the door. Oh, well, let's do this. Return true. Because I want to teach return values. Else, return false. And we need an end there. Okay. So basically it's going to ask them to type the password in. They're going to type something in. If it's equal to 42, then it'll return true. If not, it'll return false. What a return value does is basically it comes back to where you call your function, and then you can get the value that it returns. So I'm going to say if check password is true. Oops, I need to call this function. So what's that saying is run this function and get the value and replace it here. So it'll say if check password, if that runs and returns a true, then it's going to say if true equals true. Well, of course that is. If it returns a false, then it's going to say if false equals true, which it doesn't. So I only have to check if that works. If not, then I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to set the cursor position back to 1, 1. I'm going to print invalid password. And then we will do, if I just left it like this, it's going to print out invalid password and then immediately, because we're looping, clear the screen and print the menu again. So I'm going to go ahead and call it sleep. Sleep is a function that just says stop doing anything for the amount of time. So let's sleep for 2 seconds. Okay. Is that all we want? Let's give it a try. It might give us an error. I'm typing kind of fast. Mouse control. Let's see. We want to open the door, enter the password. Let's give it the correct password. And it was already open, so it doesn't matter. Let's close the door and try it again. 42. Open the door. Okay, great. Close the door. Let's open it. This time I'm going to try open. Invalid password. After 2 seconds, goes back to the menu. Great. Perfect. Awesome. Okay. One thing about that is if someone was watching my terminal while I was typing in, they might know what my password is. So what can I do to combat that? Well, let's do this. And in our function, when we do io.read, you can put in a parameter, a string parameter here, and that will replace anything they type with that value. So if you want to make a password field, put an asterisk or star. But you could also put, you know, gobbledygook. I don't know. I think it's just one character is the limit, but if you see that now, oh, that didn't work. Hold on. Okay, guys, I'm back. There's actually 2 different functions for reading input. The IO function for read does not support character replacement. So let's fix that real quick. And all we have to do is just take off the IO equals and just call read directly. Alright, that should work. And you can see now as I type, it replaces with strings. Okay. And I can type 42. Opens the door. Great. Okay. We've got a little more time, so let's keep going. Let's say someone's trying to break into our password in our system, and they just typing random passwords, or they even put some program that can like hack us or something, and they want to try and get into our or just flood our system with passwords. What I want to do is basically add a maximum number of fails. So let's say max tries is equal to 3. And then we have number of fails is equal to 0. Okay? That's just initializing some variables at the start of our program that will determine how many tries they're allowed, and the current number of failures is at 0. Alright, so if they get the bad password here, I'm going to say num fails is equal to the current number of fails plus 1. There's no such thing as num fails plus plus in Lua, just like there is in C coding. But basically we're saying the current value of num fails is equal, or the new value of num fails is equal to the current value plus 1. So just increment it. Okay. If, and actually I don't want to do that right now, but we'll just increment it. If they get the correct password, then we can say num fails is reset to 0. Okay. But down here, when we check if they did an invalid password, I'm going to say if num fails is less than max tries, Then we'll sleep for 2 seconds. But if it's equal to or greater, let's sleep for 30 seconds. So it blocks them out for 30 seconds if they type the wrong password 3 times. And we might as well tell them, say, oops, too many, oh man, my spacebar. Failures, sleeping 30 seconds. Alright. That should work. Make sure I type this there right. None fails, max tries. Perfect. Okay. We're going to try and open our door. Let's type 12. Nope, didn't work. 2 seconds. Perfect. Let's open the door. Try some crap here. That was our second try. Open our door. Too many failures. Sleeping 30 seconds. And I can't do anything. Computer's locked up. It's frozen. Darn it. Alright, and after 30 seconds it would go ahead and go back to us. Come on. I should have done like 15. Come on, come on. I want to see you work. Let's talk about what we could do right here. Someone could easily, restart the computer by hitting Control R, Control T. So we might want to not allow that. So maybe that's the next thing we fix. But we can say open door, enter the wrong password. All right, restart the computer. What did I call it? House control? Yeah. Enter the right password. Perfect. Okay. And turn on the lights, please. Okay, cool, awesome. What do we want next? Yeah, so let's talk about preventing them from quitting out. Let's also talk about startup. Let's do startup. That's the weird thing. Is when I restarted the computer, I had to type in house control to make it work again. But I want this program to always run and never stop. So let's go ahead and hit edit house control again. And this time, oops, I actually don't want house control, sorry. We want to edit a new program called startup. And this is not going to replace the existing startup, but it's going to run ours instead of the old one. And all you have to do is do shell.run startup. Or not startup, house control. Okay, simple as that, really easy. And now we can see I'll reboot the computer, Control R, hold it down, and it started our program. Open the door. Open the door, turn on the lights. Cool. Easy, easy. Now, if I hit Control R again, perfect. The only way to get back to the command prompt here is to type Q, and maybe I don't want to let users know that. So let's go ahead and edit our program again. And let's get rid of this line. We're still going to have the handler, but we're not going to tell them what it is. It's like a secret backdoor, basically. So let's change this to be BD for backdoor. Now when I'm running the program, I don't have that option, but if I do type BD, we get to the command prompt. Now, they could always just get Control T, so let's prevent that. And there's a way to do that, and basically you're going to say os.pull event, and I'm going to talk about events a lot more in the future. But an event is a thing that happens like a key is pressed, a mouse is clicked, a redstone signal turns on or off, modem signal is received. So that's an event, and the pull event is basically how you handle events. And I'm basically going to tell the pull event to only pull raw events, which it's difficult to understand, but basically the terminate function, when it's called, calls this OS pull event, but it's not called pull event raw. So when you do this, it overrides this function and the terminate no longer works. That's all you have to understand. Just put this line of code at the top of your program if you don't want them to terminate. Be careful though, because if you don't provide a way to exit the program, then you're kind of screwed. You'd have to go into, you'd have to shut down the computer, go into the text editor in outside of ComputerCraft in your hard drive, outside of Minecraft, and change the code and then start it up again. So I'm safe because I have the backdoor program in. That's my new, basically, terminate. But anyway, so I'm safe to get rid of this. So os.pull event equals os pull event raw, and now I can restart the computer. It'll start up, and now if I hit Control T, nothing happens. I'm holding Control T, nothing's happening. If I do want to get out of my program though, secret backdoor, and now I can edit stuff. Sound good, guys? 26 minutes, I think that's going to do it for this episode. We successfully made a menu. Pretty cool. You can use that application in a lot of places. We've got redstone signals turning on and off. We've got some password things. We've worked with loops. We've worked with the sleep function. We've worked with how to reset your computer, how to prevent termination, and how to make a program start up automatically when you start the computer. I think we covered quite a lot. So next time we will get into some more advanced ComputerCraft stuff. Until then, this has been FunshineX. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.